Hello, everybody, and welcome inside the Rockwall Sports Center Yellowjacket update. I'm Chris Pittish, joined by the captain of the broadcast for your Yellowjackets, Billy Quinnan. And Billy, I'm glad you dried off from Friday night. What a wild win! Rockwall wins 45-27 over Rowlett, claiming the Battle of the Lake, and also really putting themselves in the driver's seat for a district championship. Billy, overall, a fun game on Friday night.
Really fun game Friday night. Didn't have to dry off. Was in the comfort of a nice dry booth with a lovely buffet. It was good. It was an all-around good night. In fact, I was kind of disappointed we didn't have any delays. I'd like to eat more.
Yeah, there you
go. But anyway, outstanding night. That was fun. Yellowjackets hitting on all cylinders, especially in a game like this where you go against a rival, and not only a rival that's also vying for the district championship. And you go in and play the way Rockwall did from start to finish. They were just solid, both offensively, defensively. Special teams came back and did well after having a rough game before. So you couldn't ask for anything more. And as Coach Webb had said earlier in the year when they were 0-3, so all we want to do is start peaking by the end of the season, and I think they're doing it right now.
As you mentioned, this team was 0-3 going into district play, and now they've reeled off 5 straight wins. They're moving on up in the rankings. They're now number 11 in the area. They're really starting to shock some people. You're getting recognition now. Will Reed making his rounds on local TV this past weekend. The Yellowjackets getting notorious names on Channel 8 last night. So This team is starting to get noticed now that this isn't a bad team when everyone thought when they were 0-3, oh, it's a team that's going to roll over. They're really reeling off some wins and looking good doing it.
They're looking very good. The publicity tour has started, for the Yellowjackets. The paparazzi following them around.
There you go.
It's exciting for all these kids. And let's talk about a couple of these guys, a few of them at least. Will Reed again. Another solid ball game, getting the ball to Sam Crawford. When you have Sam Crawford out there, it does probably make your job a little bit easier. Sam on that post route is just killing people, getting behind safeties. Has over 100 yards, gets a touchdown. I believe actually gets gets one touchdown on 106 yards. And then, of course, Caleb Broach, his best game as a Yellowjacket. Exciting to watch. Not only does he go over 200 yards rushing and get the 3 touchdowns, has one of the craziest runs we've seen all season, maybe in the last few years, where he hurdles the defender, lands on his feet, still goes a little bit further. That was an outstanding run. And then another one that I think was underrated is Rockwall was trying to put the game away. He gets hit about the 10-yard line, has a leg taken away, a defender holding his leg up, and he hops another 5 or 6 yards to get Rockwall into scoring position. So congratulations to Caleb Broach and to all those guys out there. And let's not forget about the offensive line. You don't get 218 yards rushing and pass for as much as Will Reed did to Sam Crawford and all the other receivers without that offensive line doing their job.
You got to think some of those college offers might be coming in pretty soon for some of these guys if they haven't even gotten any yet. But, of course, back to the main reason, Rockwall wins 45-27 over Rowlett. You got to think Coach Webb is very happy about his team's chances of winning a district championship now that they have defeated Rowlett.
Well, it was the first time in really 25 years of coaching for me that I think we've ever played a game where it was a nonstop downpour for 4 quarters. That was really, really weird. But and we weren't really prepared for it because, we just don't practice in the rain. Normally at practice when it's raining, it's lightning and we're inside. And so we didn't have a lot of preparation, but I'm so proud of the way our kids played. I mean, really, if you didn't know it was raining, just watching our execution, I think you would have thought, with a couple of maybe balls that slipped out of Will's hand, deep balls, the exception of that, I think we played pretty flawless considering the rain.
All right, Billy, when you look at the stats, Rockwall allows almost 500 yards of offense for Rowlett, but then again, the defense comes up and they still make those big plays when it matters. And kind of in 6A nowadays, it doesn't matter really how many points you allow, it's how many you score, but that defense really showed up once again making big plays on Friday night.
Yeah, they did. It was a bend-don't-break defense this last week. They still had a lot of outstanding performances as they did get the stops when they needed to. You still give up just under 500 yards against Rowlett. You're not going to stop them. That great running back they have, Moreau, gets almost 200 yards rushing, almost 300 yards just under it for Logan Bonner, an outstanding quarterback for Rowlett. But when Rockwall needed plays, when they needed to get a stop, they were there. That defensive line still doing a good job getting pressure. Had to have force Bonner to throw it when he didn't want to a lot of times. A lot of the receivers were separated from the ball. That secondary is doing well. And then I want to talk a little bit about the special teams. They had a relatively rough game earlier the week before against Saxe. And then I want to give Jacob Viquez a shout out as he came in and was just solid in the kicking game, gets a 22-yard field goal, hits all the extra points. And then Anthony Orgy, his brother Alston's having a great year at linebacker, but Anthony, the freshman, comes in, gets a punt block, and then gets his hand on another one on another special teams play. So really, really good job on the other side of the ball for Rockwall. They don't get a lot of the pub as the offense does, but this team is not where they're at if it isn't for those other two teams.
And of course, coming from experience, kicking in the rain is not really an easy thing to do by any means, and it was definitely coming down on Friday. But let's talk about District 11 6A right now. Rockwall in the driver's seat now at 5-0. Rowlett now moves to 4-1. A huge game coming up on Friday night against Tyler Lee. Tyler Lee is now on the outside looking in at 3-2. A Rockwall win, they're your back-to-back district champions. So you almost thought last week was for the district championship. This week now we are for real. It is actually for the district championship. And of course, if Rockwall were to lose out, things could get very dicey here in District 11 6A. So got to take care of business on Friday night against Tyler Lee.
It's just not right. I remember this last year when Rockwall was going against Garland in the last game of the season. They were undefeated, had not lost any games. And there was a chance if they lost to Garland, they would end up maybe third in district. And it's just the way this district is, the way high school football is. And Rockwall is in the driver's seat with that 5-0 record. But now they have a game lead. Actually, probably you could say 2 games over Rowlett since they have the tiebreaker. And then you have the number of teams that are 2 games back of Rockwall. You mentioned Lee, Saxe, and Garland. The thing that's funny is the Lee game is bigger than the Rowlett game, as you mentioned. Coach Webb has said that the whole time. I remember talking to him about this, and he says, hey, man, the game we're looking at is Lee. That's the one that is going to put us in the driver's seat and get us that district championship. And the thing that's crazy is if Rockwall beats Lee, that Garland game that we've all been looking at, thinking it was going to be this huge game, may not mean a lot for the Rockwall Yellowjackets. And so it's just weird how this all plays out. That game against Garland could mean everything, or it could mean nothing. So weird how all of it lays out after these teams go out there and play each other. But it is the highest scoring district in Texas, and anything can happen.
Of course, you said at the beginning of the year, don't panic. When you start 0-3, right here you are now. With a week before the season ends, essentially next week, you can clinch the district championship this week. So
again,
exactly. So you got to think this is a huge week for Coach Webb and his team. Let's see what he has to say about Tyler Lee coming up on Friday night.
Well, this game means everything to us, and it means everything to Tyler Lee. You know, they need to win this game to get in the playoffs, and we need to win this game to lock up a district championship and a #1 seed going into the playoffs. So it's a very important game. And, you know, they're a very unusual team this year. They're so good on offense, top 5 offense in the state of Texas, and they're going to get yards and they're going to get points. And you know, defensively they struggled early in the year, but they're playing a lot better defensively right now. They've got a very sound scheme, and I think their kids are getting a lot more comfortable playing defense, and they really look good on Saturday against North Garland. So we've definitely got our hands full, and we know that we're going to play a team Friday night that also sees this as a very big game. So it ought to be a lot of fun.
All right, Billy, well, a huge game, as we mentioned, this Friday against Tyler Lee. Of course, QB1 now for the Tyler Lee Red Raiders is back in the saddle, and he led a comeback last week against Garland to upset Garland. Of course, might be a little more rain this Friday night. Could be another fun one. And, of course, it's senior night. It could be the last home game of the year. Of course, if Rockwall does win district, they get to host one playoff game at Wilkerson Sanders. So, of course, a huge game setting up this Friday night for that district championship.
It'll be a fun night, senior night. Luke Turman is. I think of Luke Turman right now, who's
seems like 9th year, right?
Yeah, it's like finally senior night for Luke Turman. He's been here forever, and so that's the first kid I think of. And of course, Will Reed and Caleb Broach and these kids that have been huge for this program, and so many others that we've enjoyed watching over the last year or 2 or 4 years, as in Luke's case. So it's going to be sad to see those kids possibly play their last home game. I feel like we're going to have one more. If Rockwall keeps doing what they're doing, we'll have a playoff game with that new UIL development where you get a home game now if you win district for playoffs. So hopefully we'll have one more Wilkerson Sanders, but it's going to be fun. It'll be maybe raining, but again, hopefully the booth is still dry, and that
we'll
food
open the
is
windows
still
up for you to get a little breeze going for you.
Exactly, but that's all I worry about. But it ain't like baseball when we have to do the baseball games out in the rain.
Yeah, there you go.
When it's going on. So anyway, very excited about this. I can't believe that we're already to the end of the season when it just seems like a couple days ago we started this thing. We waited all summer for this thing to start, and we're closing out the regular season and getting ready for playoffs.
Seems like just yesterday you were telling people to lay off the panic button.
Exactly.
And here we are to
exactly. And here we are getting ready to make a run.
All right, it's www.rockwallisd.com. It's senior night at Wilkerson Sanders Memorial Stadium. Could be the final home game for your Rockwall Yellowjackets, but we're planning to have one more in a couple weeks. Of course, it's www.rockwallisd.com. We'll see you Friday night for senior night. Don't forget, Jackets fight never dies.